So I'm on a little bit of a road trip. I have another hour, whatever left. So I figure I'm going to tell you the story of what happened the day at Lowe's. Not some grand story, but it was not fun at all. It really messed up my work day, and I'm absolutely holding a grudge against Lowe's for this one, because I know there was error on their side, but then there were several computer issues that made it worse, and it just kept compounding, and oh my God, it felt like it was never going to end. So I was at work, I needed more thin set, which, I had planned pretty well at the beginning, but anyway, nevertheless, I needed more. I didn't need a lot more, but I knew I could use up whatever I bought on another job that I would be starting in a few days. So, just gonna buy the bag of thin set, right? So my plan was drive the half hour, pick up the kids from school, swing by Lowe's on the way to drive them home, because the house I'm working on is only 10 minutes from my house. So I'm just driving a big old triangle or whatever. I get the kids, I stop at Lowe's, I run in. I left the car running, kids in it, except for like one. I think one kid came in with me, maybe two, I don't know. I had my boys and then my mom's three, so two nieces and a nephew. One or two kids came with me, I don't know. Doesn't matter. I grab the bag of thin set, I stop and look at nothing else, and just blinders on to the register. The woman at the register is not really, you can tell she doesn't want to be there. She's just sort of staring longingly out the door. And I roll up with I think I had a cart, and I roll up with my cart, and she scans it, and it beep. And she never says the total, and I'm just like, I'm buying one thing, so I know what it costs. And I put my debit card in the machine, but it doesn't say a price, it doesn't say like a total on there or anything like that. And mind you, I'm keeping all my receipts for this job. It's a job. And I happened to look at her computer screen, because it was tilted so that it was mostly for her to look at, but I could see it if I kind of looked around. Anyway, it said $450. This is a $14 bag of thin set. This is $450 and some change. And I said, wait, why does it say $450? Like, I haven't punched in my PIN yet, but my card is in the machine. And she says, she glances back and says, oh, it isn't. And I'm like, okay, maybe I'm just reading the screen wrong. I don't work for Lowe's. But I mean, the people there know me by name. Like, that's how often I'm there. And to be honest, I go to Home Depot more often than I go to Lowe's if I have the choice. Unless we're talking about thin set, because I really, really like Mapei. Or Mapai. Or say it how you want, I don't care. Mapei. So, like an idiot, I punch in my PIN number. And then I get this sinking feeling. I'm still standing there, and I open my banking app, and sure enough, $450 and some change had been deducted from my checking account from Lowe's just then. And I show her, like, she didn't offer a receipt or anything. She was just expecting me to go away. And I show her, I said, I don't know what just happened. And she says, oh no. And she goes to the computer and starts tapping on keys. I don't know what she was trying to accomplish. Something locked up. She tells me I have to go to customer. Oh, no. First she tells me that it can only be refunded to my account through all these systems that'll take a few weeks, even though I paid debit with a PIN. It should, like, if I was just going to return it to the store, they could give me cash or they could put it back on my debit card. She tells me it's going to be a couple of weeks. I'm going out of town the next day. I won't have time to go to the bank. I am supposed to be dropping off these kids so I can go back to work. I'm, like, sort of freaking out a little bit here. Because I have no idea what happened. I'm like, did I buy a pallet? What just happened? So she prints out a copy of the receipt, but it says duplicate receipt, so it never gave a receipt. It says duplicate receipt. Go to customer service. Okay. So I go to customer service, and there's only one person in front of me, but she apparently has all the time in the world because it's 20 minutes before I get to the desk. So I start reading the receipt. It's a lot of paint. It's primers, it's paint, it's just paint and more paint. $450, which, yeah, I can see how that happens. Paint is not cheap, especially if you're, buying a lot. I get to the desk. I tell them what's going on, and they say, oh, you need a manager. So the manager doesn't get there for a long time. And I am, like, losing my mind at this point, because after standing, waiting for 20 minutes, my brain was all over the place. The fact that I was losing work time was eating at me. Like, I'm thinking I should be, like, the kids would be dropped off and I'd be on my way back to work, had everything just gone okay. But now I'm trapped here. So while I'm waiting for the manager, I'm, going over all these scenarios in my head of what just happened. I do the math on the pallet. That doesn't make sense. And, because I just can't figure out how I got charged for someone else's paint. Like, how did this happen? The manager shows up. She tells me that they can put it back on my account, but it would be a couple of weeks. And I tell her, no, ma'am. You took the money in a second. You can give the money back. I did not buy any of this. Okay, well, we have to check security footage, make sure that you didn't buy any of this. And I've still got the cart with the bag of thin set, right? Apparently this never got purchased during all this insanity yet. We get there. So the manager disappears. They take on some other customers through a different register. And things start getting messy when it turns out that my debit card information is locked up at the register. That woman is on break. She literally left that situation and went on break. The kids who were out in the truck start noticing I'm not coming back. And so they're starting to kind of trickle into the store. They said that she was outside at one of the picnic tables with her head down, like taking a nap or something. And when she came back in, because eventually she comes back into this whole mess, she reeked of liquor. Like, you could not mistake it. She walks in and just the whole area smells like a bar. So the manager's having problems with the card being locked up in the computer. This woman, this cashier, she can't sign into the computer, she can't sign out of the computer. Then the computers up at customer service are all signed into by someone else, so they can't get her signed out to get someone signed in, and they need IT is working on it. It's a mess. Like, there's now 3 or 4 departments supposedly working on this. They've gone through the security footage. They've cleared that. Yes, I was only buying a bag of thin set. I was not buying paint. I did not ever at any point leave the store. I was losing it because they're telling me, oh, well, just give me a minute. And a minute always meant 20 or 30 minutes. 2.5 hours later, I'm still standing there at customer service waiting for my money. They end up having to do an override because apparently the people in line in front of me, who I never saw because they came through, they left, and then I showed up. The woman rang them up, and then what we're supposing happened is that she rang up all their paint. The card they put in was declined. She did not notice that it didn't spit out a receipt, just told them to have a nice day. They took their stuff and they left. And then when I came through with my bag of Thinset, I paid for all of their stuff because that was what the register was waiting on. I lost time at work. It took me hours and phone calls to the bank and just a lot of chaos. I literally had to have someone come pick up the kids because after an hour and a half, we were like, they were losing it. They wanted to go, and I couldn't blame them because I was in a state. Oh boy. And normally money would not have been in that account like that. That account was hacked a year prior, Martin Luther King weekend, and several $100s was taken over the course of like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, something to that effect. I didn't find out until Monday of that, year, month, whatever, because it was the fraud department finally caught on. It called me up on I'll never forget, Monday morning, drinking my coffee. Phone rings. It's the fraud department for my bank, and it's a recording that says, "Are you in Tampa? Did you just make this charge?" Nope, not in Tampa. Didn't make that charge. And then over the rest of the week, more charges start trickling in, and so I usually don't keep that much in that account. I don't even know why I had it there. I think I probably had it there and meant to move it, but whatever. It was a long, rough day. Suffice to say, I did not make it back to work because by the time this was all said and done, it was time to do dinner, laundry, everything else for these kids because, mind you, I am up at like 4 in the morning. So by 6 p.m., I'm trying to get things wrapped up and done. Like, if I've got to cook dinner, I need to have that done before 7, like, for real. Anyway, so that is my nightmare trip to Lowe's. Yeah, it could have been worse. Could have been way worse. But they could have treated me better. They still, like, they're like, okay, you want to buy your bag of Thinset now at the end of it? Not really. Do you want to give it to me for free now that I've lost all this money in time that I would have been at work? Like, let's consider that. Anyway, one last thing on the Lowe's cast. If anything happens, if they do respond to my email, if they do actually apologize, because the only apology I got was the cashier saying, "Thank you for being so patient." And through a mask, you can't really tell what's going on. And like I said, her eyes were bloodshot and she smelled of very strong liquor. So I just had a feeling that she was checked out as far as, even being aware of the gravity of the situation. But if anything happens, if they do respond to me with any type of apology or reach out, I'll let you know. But this was, God, we're in the end of March now. This was a while ago, and I've heard nothing. So I just get the impression that they will collect their money, But then when it comes to a mistake, a big mistake, I mean, watch your receipts, folks. Because I was in such a hurry, I might have just gone and not noticed till the next day, or maybe even days later. I have now put, I'm not sure what they're called, on my accounts, so that every time any transaction happens, I get a notification immediately. Everything tells me if money's going out, if money's coming in. I get a notification. So hopefully that'll help with things like this in the future. I don't know. But yeah, that was my trip to Lowe's. And ever since then, I walk in and I am very, very aware of what's happening the entire time. I take nothing at face value, and then I double check the receipt before I leave the store. Because had I left, this would have been an even bigger mess. And boy, buddy, I never saw that one coming. So have a great day. Bob, wearing my seatbelt. I need to get one of those fuzzy things so it's not like cutting into my neck. But yeah, fun day. See ya.